Hi, Marianne.
Hi.
Hey, hello everyone.
Mm.
I'm new to this group. I've been following Angelo DeLulo, and then as a offshoot of that, I found Pranella's. How do you pronounce your name? Pranella?
It was perfect. Thank you. Yes, Pernilla.
Okay, Pranella's group and Todd's group. So I'm happy to be here. I
Thank you.
wanted to thank Maureen for bringing up her topic because sometimes I feel the same way, and 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 I'm just getting into this. Um, I've read through or listened to the first two and part of the third. I went back from the third back to the first again
Yeah.
after hearing about the toxic starting point.
Mm.
Um, anyway, it all makes wonderful sense to me.
I'm
I
so
mean, I
happy.
never realized that I was a bully. I mean, I
Mm.
knew I was a bully, but I never realized that what was the one that
Passive aggressive bully.
the past the past yes, you know me already, huh? Yes.
She's
I
good.
am the passive aggressive bully. And it was like an arrow like hit my head when I was listening to that description.
So happy. So happy.
And I learned a lot about it, and it made me realize that yeah, those were the experiences that shaped me in childhood. Was,
Yes.
to get my parents' attention was impossible.
Yeah.
Um, they My mother was sick from the time I was about 8 years old, so
Mm.
she was into her own thing, and
Mm.
I found that by watching her, it was very effective if I could, you know, oh, I have a stomach ache, I can't go,
Mhm.
and and I learned from her how to get the attention that I needed by being this, the sick one, that kind of
Yeah.
thing. And I realized I'm still carrying that forward at 69 years old.
Yeah.
I'm still struggling with that. Um, and it's been a real awakening. So after I read that, I thought, am I really awake? I know you told me I was, but in the first couple of sessions, but I just had to go back, and then last night I was listening to a segment on YouTube by Angelo about, you know something about what to do if you really want to awaken, and I was listening to it, and he says you have to really be willing to give up your life as it is,
Yes.
and I felt this deep like fear, you know, like I finally feel like I've gotten to a more comfortable place that I'm really taking care of myself and taking responsibility instead of trying
Mm.
to blame other people for my situation. And trying to take a more of a middle of the road attitude, about life. It's um and then I thought, I don't know if I can give up this now, and so anyway, if you have any advice for me, I
Yeah.
would so appreciate
First
it.
of yeah. First of all, I want to say thank you and welcome. I'm so happy that you're here. What you talk about is in the lesson called ego death, because
Hmm.
what you are afraid of is a fixated thought about what actually is. What you think is not what actually is. You think that what you have to give up is a whole personality and a whole life and all of that, but that never was. You're not
Hmm.
giving anything up. You're just seeing what never was.
Okay.
When we believe that there is a separate self, there is a
Mhm.
separate me here that has trial and tribulations throughout my life, and there's been so much suffering and all of that. We believe that that is what we need to give up. But that none of that is real. The only thing you're doing is just discovering that it's all a delusion. It's all just a movie that you're watching. That there is no trial and tribulations at all. It's just an angle of viewing life from that is part of a delusion. So nothing is happening. Nothing is going to change. Nothing is going to be like huge and different, because it can't be. It never ever was to begin with. Did that make sense, or did I make everything 10 times worse? Todd, save me.
It's not getting through to me for some reason.
Okay. No, I actually loved what you said. I thought that was amazing.
But
I actually feel like asking Jahira, because Jahira, she had a really, really good insight about this. She was very much in your situation, with there was a lot of identification and really, really, really understanding that all that was just thought. Jahira, are you up for that? You can just
Yeah.
say, yeah, good. Let me just pin you. Lovely, Jahira. Dude. Hello. Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm not exactly sure what's
Yeah, it's like I'm thinking of like I can tell the story, but it's like we're not trying to convince you of something.
Oh, there you go.
Sorry.
Sorry.
We had people coming to the front door, and we just weren't sure. I think they were just delivering something, but there were like two people, and they were moving something around. We were just curious what was going on.
Not sure what happened, but
Sorry.
we're here now. Sorry.
Did not mean to derail that.
It's okay. It's okay. I was just saying that whatever you hear me say, Marianne, it's not to convince you of something. Like we can't convince you of what Angelo talks about. You won't understand it. You won't get to it through an understanding of it, an explanation of it, right?
Right.
So when Todd was first showing me how to do the inquiry, which is just being curious and asking questions, one second, without expecting an answer. Like, so I was doing the inquiry, and attending the groups, Vince's group too. And then there was one day where I realized that my thoughts about everything were just an evaluation of this, of what Pernille says, like the five senses. So like it just became clear after doing the inquiry that there's this present moment of like my daughter sitting here, I feel her on my lap, I can look out the window, I can see this, I can, all the five senses. And then there's the dialogue in your head that describes this or explains it or wants to figure it out or wants to make sure what happens next, and basically just wants to figure it out. Really is the thought process, right? Because of, you want to make sure you get it right. You want to make sure you make the right choices. Like all of the things that are happening in your thoughts. That's why I love Angelo too from the beginning. It's just a thought. Like he'll say that, and you don't need the thoughts, like Pernille was just saying, because they're just something that's on top of just this. So yeah. So all of it, whatever we think of who we are. They're just thoughts. They're not actually what this is in this right this second.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I know, because I have a lot of trouble with thoughts. I go into these.
Yeah,
and then when I try
to not even to resist the thoughts, not even to say, oh, I shouldn't be having these thoughts, or it's literally just like, oh, there it is, there's the thought. oh, there's the thought. And even with somebody else was saying like, oh God, I had all these thoughts about maybe I shouldn't say this, and like, oh, there's those thoughts. Or even like me the other day, like on a call on Friday, like I cursed, right? Because he broke his leg, and there was a moment where I cursed, and then when looking like later on in the day, I had the thought like, oh, I shouldn't curse. Like they probably think like, why does she need to curse? Or and then I see it in myself. I see it. Wow, look at me. Like, thinking about what happened, like, and thinking about what they think, and it's like it's all just made up. Like that's why she said it's all built on a delusion, because it's like, no, like maybe you guys are thinking about me in a certain way, but I could never know. I don't know. Maybe you are, maybe you aren't, but it doesn't even matter anyway. So it's all just on top. So that's why I think, yeah, just what Pernell does, like the
And
exercises
yeah,
are what's
and also, Jahira, whatever we think of you got nothing to do with you. No matter how much you curse or not curse, you cannot control what we think about you, because whatever I think about you is a reflection of myself. It's not even about you. You don't
the
even have
bubble.
to be here for me to become aware of what I think about me.
Right, the
It's a
bubble,
bubble
the
of
bubble of
reality.
reality.
Yeah, exactly. So no matter how much you curse or not curse, it can never ever be about you what we think about you.
Right, but we're so conditioned our whole lives
Yes.
to think that our thoughts are what matters, and we really need to control this, whatever this thing is that we set, that we were told that this is my life, this is what I need to do to make it right. I should be doing this, I shouldn't be doing this, and like that conditioning is just like the only way to break through it is these looking at those sensations, like at the beginning meditation, like hit over and over again, like, oh, there it is, there's a sensation, there it is, there it is, oh, it went away.
Exactly.
I think
Okay.
some of the confusion comes because we do have different types of thinking, right? Some of it is this very conscious. I feel like I'm sitting here. If you ask me what 5 + 5 is, I feel like I could 5 + 5 and puzzle out an answer and give you the actual answer for it,
The right answer.
the right answer. But I feel like I could do that. Like it feels like there's some type of thought which is like just like if what Jen was talking about with having to find a new job, and we have this idea that we can look at all of the options and weigh out all the things in our life. And so Marianne, when you say that, like, you feel that you've built up this whole life now where things are finally kind of in order and comfortable, it feels like all of that is the product of this kind of
Mm.
of
Think-
forward thinking,
Thinking, planning,
right?
and
You have done this, you have made this the way that it is what the feeling is, that thought has provided all of this for you. And now if you stop buying into that, and if you put all of that aside, everything is going to fall apart. It's like that there's like a fear there that's behind all of this, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So what we're
Yes.
recognizing, though, is that that part of our thinking isn't the one which is really making everything happen in our lives. That's something that for the most part is coming on after the fact,
after.
and
Yeah.
it's taking credit for all of the things that are currently happening. So when you're sitting there, even doing like simple breath watching meditation, if you're sitting there and you feel like you are controlling the mind, that every time the mind goes to thought, I come back to the breath. I'm counting on the breath. I'm counting 1, 2, 3, and then I'm lost in thought and I come back. That feels like there's something that is, you're in executive control. You are actually manipulating your attention and going back and forth. And what you recognize the more you do that and the other kinds of inquiry practice is that that attention shift is what's happening automatically. That is not under any conscious control. The feeling of conscious control is itself that illusion which is coming in after the fact and is taking credit for it. And then you recognize that the settling of the attention is the same motion as the flitting away to attention being on thoughts that are coming back and bouncing all over again. It's the same thing that's happening. The same process is happening. The whether you are sitting there consciously focused on a breath for an hour or unconsciously focused on thoughts for an hour is the same basic mechanism. There's just a feeling of control that's either there or not. And so I think it's really useful to look into in your life right now, what are your hesitations? Like, what do you really feel like you are going to be giving up or losing or missing out on if you do go through what you expect awakening to be? And it's useful to like make a list of these fears, like really get clear on, is it the fact that, you know, like Pernilla said, that you're going to lose something of your personality? Is it that you feel like your physical financial world is going to collapse? Is it that you feel like you like who you are at this point and don't want to give that up? And then if so, be specific. What is that? Is it your overall, you know, emotional state and the way that you interact with other people? What is it in your experience that you are afraid to give up? Because part of that also is going to come into play, not just with awakening, but with mortality. And it's useful doing any of this stuff to get to that ever present fear of death that most of us have. And so much of this, the fear of the ego, death, the fear of awakening, is all kind of a little metaphor for the fear of death that we
In
don't talk
general,
about.
yeah.
So it's
That makes
really
sense. A
cool.
lot of sense. But yeah, I definitely need to make that list. And yeah, I know and I just kept telling myself last night after I watched this, it's Marianne, it's your mind, it's your ego that's trying to stop you from pursuing this any further, you know, and you need to remember that.
The only caveat there, though, is whenever we say that, it tends to reify the idea that the ego is a real persistent thing, which has like a conscious
Its
will of
own
its own.
personality.
Yeah, like it's there, and it's like this little imp who's like, you know, manipulating things behind the scenes to keep you from doing it. Again, it's all illusion. There is not
There's not
only,
an ego.
there's no ego, there's no Marianne, and there never was. We're not getting rid of anything, which is why where so much of our fear comes from. We have this idea that we are literally killing the ego. We are killing the Marianne in order for life to just go about living, but it's not it. It was never there to begin with. It was just a belief in an illusion. It was a belief in a mirage that wasn't actually water in the desert. It was just a reflection of heat off of the sand and a play of the trick of the eyes. Exactly the same thing with what we take to be ourself. So a lot of the hallmarks of what you take to be yourself might still be there. It's just they don't get created into a greater structure called the self anymore. We don't, you know, you'll still have physical sensations, you'll still have thoughts, you'll still have mental images, you'll still have a personality, you'll still interact a certain way. But all of those things used to have like a glue that tied them all together. And that glue we felt was the ever present me. You just realize there's no glue there anymore. There's just speaking happening. There's just sensations that are there. There's just interactions with other people. There's just laughter. There's crying. All of the things are there, but they're not there bound to this egoic core that you once thought existed.
Yeah, it's the because
Wow.
of that is not there. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you
What'd you
very
say, Pernell? Is what's not there?
I forgot.
The egoic core, I think you said.
Uh,
Is that what you said?
No.
you
Sorry,
said
did
there's
I?
no.
No.
I'm
I
sorry.
So
can't
there's
I
no.
remember.
think I said that.
I think you
we are
said
like one person.
You said there. You said there's no glue. That's good.
Yeah.
And then you said something, Pernell, but you
I
broke.
can't remember. It's that
See,
quick.
laughter still happens,
Yeah.
right? Nothing is
well.
missing.
Yeah. No, I know what I said. I said it's not because of laughter is not there because of there's a Marianne, because of
Yeah.
there's an ego. Anger is not there because of an ego and because of a past and my stories and my childhood trauma and because of doesn't exist. That is the frontal
Yes.
lobe putting a label on
Yeah.
and going like, oh, I know why. But all that is absolutely delayed.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm seeing what you're saying. So feeling it. So, and I'm relieved to hear that laughter doesn't go.
Absolutely not. On the contrary, laughter is much more prevalent because whenever so one of the things I love with Todd is that when he drops stuff, and he's a clumsy one, when Todd drops stuff, he never ever gets angry. He laughs because he see the similarity between what he just did, fumbling with dishes or whatever, and with Insta videos that we're watching, you know, people that are fumbling. It's exactly the same. So he's laughing about it. There's no anger or wish that this could be any different, or that plate wasn't broken, or whatever it was.
Yeah, or
That foot wasn't broken,
yeah,
or
like whatever.
there's no wish of any alternative to what is happening right now, because there's no one wishing for anything else. What is right now is what is right now, and there's no hooks into another me, or another life, or another, you know, alternative where a foot wasn't broken, because that is not up for grabs.
Yeah.
What is here right now is the only thing that's here, and it is here even though, you know, we are not here to experiencing it.
Okay. I think I'm getting a piece of it. So and I know it's going to take me, I mean, I've been interested in this for a long time, for a couple of years. And I just am trying to find my way. And I know that sounds like the figuring out, and I'm all about figuring out, you know. So I'm trying to drop that though. So,
but go back
because
to the lesson. Yeah, go back to the lesson about ego death, and then re-listen to the talk that we had here. This recording is going up on Todd's channel right after the meeting, and then re-listen to our talk here, because just by everything we have said and everything Jahira said, there's been planted a little seed. And with all the knowledge that you have accumulated over the last 2 years, it might be something, you know, that just clicks in a different way when you hear it again. It's also why it's so helpful to listen to the lessons in the curriculum over and over and over, because every time you listen to them, you hear something new, because you are something new. The entire base of understanding is new when you listen to it again.
That's why I decided to go back to the beginning after listening to that lecture about, you know, the toxic starting point, because I was like, wow, you know, it was kind of overwhelming when you, and then the whole Maureen was talking about reparenting, and you know, and how do you do that? Anyway, I just think, I feel like I've really hit on something here with this
amazing.
with this series.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
So happy. Thank you very much for coming and talking about it. Thank you so much. And thank you to Jahira as well.
Yes. Thank you, Jahira.